Hello, this is Dear, and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video reading Hermitcraft Antihero. We are on chapter 12. Well, we're going to start in chapter 12. I don't know how far we'll go. Maybe a couple chapters. We'll see. It just depends on how much time passes and how much I decide to shoot the video be. So yeah. If you haven't read the other parts, you probably should, because there will be spoilers, and yeah. You probably don't want to get spoiled, but of course that's your choice, and yeah, if you don't care, then by all means have a listen. Chapter 12. Julius didn't look up at first, even when he heard Impulse's gasp of surprise. He heard footsteps enter the room, feeling something passed in front of him. He looked over to see Duncan standing in front of them, alongside two other dogs. Where had they come from? He continued to lift his gaze as he met eyes with Victor, who was holding a crossbow armed with a racket, aiming it at the hermit sitting beside him. Well done, Julius, Victor grinned. I almost believed you. Another soldier beside him chuckled. Victor flanked by two other men. The two men held swords, eyeing the hallway. Call off the dogs, hermit. They only listened to Stampy. Impulse lifted his chin, standing. He told them to keep us safe, so if you want to get to us, you'll have to go through them. I doubt that will be necessary. Victor smiled coldly, firing his rocket as it hurtled toward the two of them. Julius and Impulse dove out of the way as the rocket exploded on the far wall. You could have warned me first, Julius sneered, stumbling to his feet as the three dogs lunged at the men, and the two other men swung their swords, sending two of the dogs flying against the wall. No! Impulse cried, getting to his feet as well, pulling out a sword. Julius, grab him and go through. We'll take care of the ones in the living room. Victor replied. You mean us? A familiar voice asked. Julius looked over to see Jem, holding a gas blaster, Tango right behind her. The man still looked a little pale and tired, but his red eyes were ablaze of fury. Jem, excuse me, let me try that again. Jem, get Liam out of here. Impulse insisted. I've got it, Tango said calmly, shaking his head. But we're not leaving you to get captured. Victor chuckled, aiming a firework rocket at the two of them, and fired. Impulse screamed, attempting to charge forward, but one of the men pounced on top of him. The other man swung Duncan's limp body aside, knocking him out cold. Impulse! Tango gasped. Jem fired the gas blaster, the rocket exploding in a ball of flame in between Victor and the hermits. Don't just stand there, Julius. Help! Victor snapped at the boy. Julius sprung to action, grabbing Impulse as he managed to toss the man off him. Let go of me! He struggled against the young man. No, I don't think I will. Julius managed a dark smile. You get to see me soon enough. You hurt him, Impulse tried. Julius kicking away the hermit's fallen blade, dragging him toward the portal. Let him go, Julius, Jem's voice warned. Julius gulped, seeing the anger in her green eyes. The gas blaster was aimed right at him. I don't follow your orders, Gemini, Julius stated, pushing Impulse through the portal. Hearing the hermit scream cut off as he lunged through himself, feeling the heat of the fireball barely passing him as he was engulfed with light. Chapter 13. Julius tumbled onto the other side of the portal, blinking away the brightness as he heard a groan from underneath him. Quick, grab a headband, a voice shouted as Julius looked up, seeing one of the soldiers running to a counter in the room, grabbing a headband off a pile. Get off me. Get off me, Julius, Impulse muttered in annoyance at the boy. It's already too late for that. Don't be so sure of yourself, Julius smirked, grabbing the headband out of the air as the soldier threw it to him. He sat up, pinning the hermit down, and he clapped the headband around his forehead. The hermit groaned as the headband immediately turned a bright blue. Careful, not too high. He is fine, while the guards grunted. You can take him off your hands if you'd like. My friend will stop you, Impulse seized through the pain as Julius got to his feet, eyeing the portal cautiously. It's very possible that the hermit could attempt to run through it again and get away before anyone could react. Then again, All it took was a thought to be enough. Bolt stumbled to his feet as well, noticing where the boy was looking. Not with an ambush like that, a guard chuckled. Don't count your friend's fortunate. Where's Korean? And Bolt demanded, clenching his fists, sweat starting to bead around the headband. The hermit was concentrating, lighting back. This one is a strong one of the guards mused, wearing a controller variant of the one of the headbands. He said time to practice. No thanks to Mr. A or Art. Oh, Mr. A or Campbell. Julius pointed out, matter-of-factly, patting the hermit on the back. Come on, I can show you to yourself. Don't let him see green, another guard jeered. Otherwise he might go supernova on us again. Julius could see his jaw tighten firmly, trying to show as little emotion as possible. The young man led the hermit out of the hall. Seeing the portal flash behind him, he glanced back. 4 of Campbell's men came through, each carrying someone over his shoulder. 2 girls, Isaac and B-dubs. They all were unconscious. The young man pushed the hermit out of view, hoping he hadn't seen them. He'd recognized Caitlin and one of the 2 girls. The other one had to be Ailey. The 2 of them went further down the hall. Julius noticed Impulse glancing in one of the cells, as if checking for Green. Your friend is closer to the barracks, if that matters to you. He's one of the more valuable prisoners. What makes him so special? Impulse raised an eyebrow curiously, looking over at the boy. Campbell believes he has information he can use against Rose. Julius replied. No doubt B-Depths will be useful too. I saw you got everything you wanted to know from Liam, Impulse said sourly. Campbell is never satisfied. Different people know different things. Rose couldn't have told her nephew everything. Julius shrugged. Please, can I at least see Graham? Impulse admitted. I just want to know if he's okay. Julius swallowed, tapping his pocket where the communicator was before shaking his head. Sorry, can't give special treatment to prisoners. You may see him soon enough. Impulse frowned, looking down at Julius's hands suspiciously before letting out a sigh. He's okay, though? He's resting now, but that doesn't mean it's pleasant. Julius led him to one of the cells, unlocking it before gesturing the hermit to go in. At best, a never-ending nightmare. Impulse shuddered. You haven't... Not yet, but Campbell might ask me to. Julius shook his head. Maybe with his friends being here, he might be more willing to talk. Brian doesn't know where his friends are, Impulse admitted. Then who does? Julius lifted an eyebrow. The hermit smiled, sheepishly. Probably Rose. You're a terrible liar, Julius mused, pushing the hermit into the cell. Just hope you didn't slip up. Even if I did, after what happened today, they'll never give it to you. Impulse narrowed his eyes. Green is strong and smart. Our friends already know where we are. Do they now? Julius smirked, putting a subtle finger to his lips. I guess I'll have to wait and see then. Impulse nodded. Groaning at the headband began to glow again, stumbling against the iron door. Yeah, I guess we will. The harder you fight, the worse it gets, Julius mourned. He lowered his finger and walked away, satisfied with his mission. He found Stuart standing outside the portal room, the man still wearing a headband. What's Green thinking right now? Stuart snorted. He's just trapped in a very dark room, alone, forced to hear echoes of nightmares. Not trying to call for help like Scar? Julius asked. Stuart shook his head. It's all he's been doing, trying and failing. You'd have to see for yourself how desperate he's being. Julius chuckled, glancing into the room. Most of the guards disappeared. The portal had been turned off. I have a strong feeling Impulse was more successful. We'll see, Stuart frowned. You're probably right, a voice said from behind the boy. Julius jumped, turning to see Campbell walking over to him. I've been told someone intercepted a couple of our men trying to take Jem, Tango, and Liam hostage. Who? Julius frowned, and Campbell shook his head. I don't know, but we've lost contact with 3 of our men. I can't trace their communicators. Well, hopefully they don't know where we are, Stuart sighed, shaking his head. I'll have to tell Impulse's guard then to keep him secure. It can't hurt to plan for a potential invasion, of course. Campbell added, looking over at Julius curiously, especially if a prisoner is sure help is coming. Julius swallowed and nodded. What do you need from me? Take a few hours to yourself. I'll call for you later when we're ready for interrogation. Campbell replied, and now that we have more pieces to play with, perhaps it'll be enough to get what I need. You know what Impulse said. Green doesn't know where his friends are, Julius replied. And I'm guessing neither did Liam. He still managed to hide things from us. The man shook his head. No matter. Someone will slip. Otherwise, people will get hurt. Unease filled the boy as the image of his tortured mother appeared in his mind. Her piercing blue eyes filled with agony, her face contorted in pain. You really want to go down this path? You're starting to sound a lot like Mr. A. Campbell chuckled coldly. We all have to make sacrifices. I'm going to go have a chat with Isaac and his new friends. Caitlin and Haley? Julius watched the man curiously. Of course. I've been looking forward to meeting the both of them for a very long time. He smiled, patting the boy on the shoulder. Now, why don't you treat yourself, Julius? You deserve it, after all. The hard work today. Julius swallowed and nodded. Yes, sir. See you later. He turned and walked away, putting his hand on the communicator in his pocket. Turning off the microphone, so Campbell could no longer hear what he was saying. It wasn't a permanent solution, but he needed time to think, without having to worry about anyone listening. Chapter 14. Now, a few hours had passed before Julius heard his stomach growl. He got up from the floor, walking to the open door of a spare room. He pocketed a book he'd been reading about mythical animals of legend. I don't know. The hallway was mostly empty. The boy passing the barracks to arrive at the kitchen. Hungry? Someone asked from inside the kitchen, coming to from one of the cooks, who had just placed a freshly baked loaf of bread on the counter. The man was a few inches taller than the boy. His eyes seemed to twinkle in his direction. A bit, Julius nodded, picking up a chicken leg from the basket by the door before taking a bite. This is good. Thank you. We've been trying a few recipes, the cook replied, glancing over at his colleague. Is the dinner ready for the prisoners? Just about, the other cook reported, stirring a pot of steaming soup. All saturation as ordered. Good, the first cook smiled, looking over at the boy. Will you mind giving us a hand with these, seeing as we've got a lot of guests here to feed? Of course, Julius nodded, tossing his chicken bone into the trash bin. I don't have anything else to do apart from maybe helping Dr. Raidstone with her experiment. Cook nodded. Campbell hasn't asked for your assistance yet. No, not yet. Maybe he's letting the prisoners rest first. Julius shrugged, watching the other cook pour soup into wooden bowls on a couple of trays. 3 bowls were on each tray, 6 in total for the amount of prisoners there were. Perhaps, the cook nodded, noticing the bowls. Want to take one to the children first? Careful, they can be quite feisty, the other cook chuckled, especially the young one. Kate? Julius frowned before nodding. That makes sense. She's still fairly new to this. He went over to the tray, picking it up with one hand. Julius walked over to the hallway. Whatever. Before glancing back, the cooks wished him well, saying the hermits will be ready with their food in a little bit. He walked down the hall to the largest cell in the base. Julius flipped the lever, unlocking the iron door. As he did, 3 figures sat against the back wall, their right ankles chained to the floor. You could see Kate's dark green eyes glaring at him. Isaac was resting, his head against the wall, his eyes closed. Haley, on the other hand, was fiddling with her restraints. What do you want? Caitlin demanded, straightening when Julius stepped into the room. I thought you'd be hungry, Julius replied, placing down the tray in front of her. Haley looked over at that moment, her eyes watching him. Where are our friends? Caitlin insisted, her eyes boring into him. I don't know if that's the right word. Maybe I don't need that line. Boop. In cells, obviously. Julius shook his head. As far as I know, nothing has happened. Why would he believe you? Haley asked softly, her tone steady, smooth. I think we'd all know if something was happening. If something was, Julius pointed out, tilting his head curiously. We enjoy watching our enemies struggle in agony. You're sick, Kate said in disgust. What's in the soup? Haley asked curiously, inching over to peek inside. Everyone has saturation right now, Julius replied. It's better than regen, I hear. Ah, Haley nodded. So he's not punishing anyone. Not yet, Julius replied. We're doing our best to make sure no one can use their air link. Haley looked over at Kate before asking, it doesn't hurt? It shouldn't, Julius frowned. But we much prefer our enemies to suffer. We get in you? Kate spat with retort. I at least gave Impulse some relief last time I worried, Julius pointed out. Then again, that was before we had found a way to block the link. Rest for the brain is healthy. So you don't like how they're doing it, Haley pointed out. Julius hesitated. I don't make the rules. I can only make suggestions. The girls watched him intently, Julius feeling a wave of unease washing over him. Were they judging him? Was there anything he could do? No, he wasn't in charge. He couldn't tell people what to do. Campbell always had the final say, and if he wanted to hurt people, it was his right. But was it right? So what are you going to do after this? Haley asked after a long silence. Go to bed, I suppose. Julius snorted. Something you don't have. The floor is quite comfortable, actually, Haley said, plainly. Smirk. It could be rearranged, Julius mused, heading for the door. Enjoy your supper. Someone will be by to clean up. If I know you hurt our friends, Kate warned, her gaze looking threatening. I'm only following orders, Kate, Julius said dryly. It's Caitlin to you, she snarled. Julius smirked. I can call you whatever I want, Kate. It's more fun that way. You'll regret this. She stumbled to her feet, balling her fists. Haley followed her up, grabbing her by the arm. The girls looked to be a few years apart. Haley a few inches taller than the other girl. I'm sure I will, Julius said doubtfully, closing the door behind him, locking it. You're a coward, Julius, Caitlin shouted. You can't face the truth because you know if you do, it'll destroy you. Just like it destroyed your father. Don't drag my father into this, girl, Julius growled, peering through the bars. Or I'll see to it that one of your friends gets your punishment. I won't even let you pick. You don't scare me, Caitlin growled, her green eyes ablaze with fury. You will be when we're done, Julius sneered through the window, turning and walking away. He didn't dare look back, even as a trickle of uncertainty pricked at his heart. What had Caitlin meant about his father? People lost their lives, even to protect the truth. His father lost his life to give Campbell time to escape. He was a hero. Yet, as the thought crossed his mind, another whispered back in Beat-Up's voice. Rose did everything she could to save him. Was that it? Was his father unable to accept the help from his enemies? Just like he refused help from them when they gave him a chance to walk away? Beat-Up's truthful, and Rose really had tried to save his father, even though he was the enemy. Julius shook his head, pushing the thoughts aside. Caitlin Kimberly didn't know anything. She was still new to this. She had no idea what the truth even was. Was he even sure what was he fighting for? Was the reality he lived in? Coming for seconds? One of the cooks joked as Julius arrived at the kitchen again. The hermit's dinners are ready. Good, Julius nodded. They haven't gone cold yet, have they? I don't think it matters, kid, the other cook snorted. Let them eat cold broth for all I care. Julius nodded, finding the second tray waiting for him. He crossed the room, picking it up with a hand as he held it carefully, seeing the soup swish a little to his movement. I'm sure the guards will be getting hungry soon, Julius noted. Ah, they will, the first cook replied, washing his hands in the cauldron. Maybe we can force the YouTubers to build a cafeteria for us. He chortled at the thought. Yeah. Julius nodded his head, slowly, making it to the door. You can bring that up to Campbell. Why can't you? He seems to have a special spot for you. The cook by the door teased. Just an assassin and a soldier. Nothing special, Julius replied calmly. You're killing it, kid. The other cook snorted as thumb bud. Now, feed those tigers, will you? Can't have them starve. Julius said nothing, heading toward the cell by the barracks, his eyes fixed forward. He knew what he needed to do. Let's keep going, why not? Chapter 15. Julius arrived at the cell, finding it unlocked as he pushed the iron door open. He walked into the cell, seeing Stuart leaning against the wall in the corner. Having spotted him come in, his headband glowed a bright neon green. This isn't too much, is it? Julius frowned. I don't remember having to go this far. He's not feeling any pain, Stuart grunted. But that's what you're worried about. I don't care about him, Julius snapped, crossing the room as he knelt beside the own figure lying on his side. Green's eyes were closed, sweat trickling down his forehead. Headband wrapped around him solid blue. Julius put down the tray, shaking the prisoner gently by the shoulder. Green groaned, resisting the attempt as the boy attempted again. I can jolt him awake if you'd like, Stuart offered, holding up a finger. Julius shook his head, leaning close to Green's ear. You need to eat, Hermit. I know you're hungry. I don't know anything. Green mumbled in reply. I don't care about that right now, Julius snapped. Campbell's orders. Time to eat. Green let out a exasperated sigh, opening his dark eyes, meeting the boys. He could see desperation in the hermit's gaze. What is it? Suspicious too, Julius replied. Everyone has saturation this time around. Everyone? Green croaked, uneased in his expression. It happened since you were resting. Julius muttered, lifting the hermit's head to put the liquid to his lips. Did Campbell say anything about keeping him bound? No, but I much prefer it, Stuart replied. That way he can't run. You'd shock him for just thinking about it, Julius reminded him. Green parted his lips as the liquid poured down the hermit's throat. You can unbind him if you want, Julius brushed off. I don't care. You just said you prefer him bound, Julius chuckled, waiting until the last drop was gone before putting the bowl down. Feeling better? Green nodded his head slowly. You're not going to? Julius shook his head. Oh, yeah. Not unless I have to. Green looked away as Julius let his head fall, unbinding the hermit from his restraints. Green groaned in gratitude, sitting up to rub his wrist gingerly. Thank you. Try to get some rest, Julius replied, noticing the hint of bags starting to form under the hermit's eyes. Of course. Nightmares. Green shook his head. Julius rose, looming over the hermit, picked up the empty bowl, and put it on the tray. He lifted the tray, holding it in his hand. Resting doesn't mean sleep. Campbell wants you at your best. I don't know anything, Green insisted quietly, gasping in pain as it had been sparked. Liar, Stuart snarled, narrowing his eyes at the hermit. We'll get you to talk, just like we did with Liam. Sadness filled the hermit's eyes as he looked up at Julius. I heard about what you did. I just felt guilty about leaving my friends to fight while I cowered in hiding. See how well that went, Stuart snorted. You walked right into our trap. Green nodded. Liam was my friend too. He saved me the first time I met him. Because of him, I was able to get in touch with bros and help my friends. He looked down at the floor. I wish I'd been there to help. Well, you're no help to your allies now, Stuart jeered. The only use you have is giving what Campbell wants. Then when he's done, we'll be rid of you. Green winced, tears forming in his eyes as he nodded. There was pain and guilt written on his face as Julius turned to head out. Julius? Green's voice asked softly. As he arrived at the door, Julius stopped. What is it? Julius turned, looking at the hermit. At the tower, when you attacked the car, Green stated. You could have easily killed him if you wanted to. Julius nodded. I could have. Why didn't you? Green asked softly, his eyes meeting his. Julius was taken aback by this question. I thought you knew the answer. Campbell wanted him dead, Green stated shakily. Didn't he? Julius paused for nodding. He did, but I reasoned with him that maybe it'd be better if we didn't. After all, he didn't kill Gerald. Green nodded his head slowly. Scar thought there might have been another reason, that maybe. He gasped in pain, the headband glowing, and Stuart narrowed his eyes. Oh, what happened to that one? And Stuart narrowed his eyes. Enough, Hermit, Stuart snarled. The hermit whimpered. You've said enough for today. Now sleep or I'll knock you out myself. Yes, sir. Green's voice shook with pain, tears falling down his face once more. What are you going to say? What were you going to say? Julius sneered, stepping into the hall. Campbell is a great leader, but sometimes his anger can get to him. Like you? Green smirked before yelping in pain. Yes. Julius deadpanned. Just be glad Gerald isn't free. Scar probably would be dead. Julius swallowed. Excuse me. Grian swallowed, looking away from the boy. I understand. Grian said, I'm doing a mismatch. What the? Why? Julius said nothing, leaving the cell, going down the hall to the next room. Chapter 16. The next cell wasn't too far from the barracks, a few cells down from Grian's, perhaps. The boy hearing the sound of groans as he unlocked the door and entered the room. Huddled in the corner was a figure who looked up at him when he entered. Dinner, Julius said matter-of-factly, crossing the room, placing a bowl of soup down at the hermit's feet. Could you tell your colleague to turn it down a little bit? Just the hermit roused from the corner, his voice hoarse from screaming. Julius frowned. Why hadn't he heard the hermit's screams? Were the walls of the cells soundproof? No, Julius said simply. Just drink to the bowl. You better eat, Impulse. Campbell orders. Impulse stared at the bowl for a moment, his eyes looking distant. Anything you said back there at Stampy's base true? What do you mean? Julius half wearily. Were you really there for the offer? To find answers? Impulse pressed, pushing himself from the wall. He's sitting up straight. He lied about Grian. It's only mental stress, Julius replied. Only? Impulse raised an eyebrow. Basically torture. He's already suffering from nightmares after what you've done. Me? Julius shook his head. All of you, Impulse corrected. I've been spending time with him every night in the dream dimension to try to help him until he disappeared, Julius pointed out. Stuart put on the headband. Stuart? Impulse frowned. What am I? Julius replied. He's keeping Grian in mind. Impulse winced. He's reasonable, Julius shrugged. You told me Grian wasn't in pain. Herman's expression softened. So he's okay? He'll be fine, Julius brushed off. For now, at least. Of course. The hermit sighed sourly, picking up the bowl of soup. Saturation? Everyone has it, Julius replied. Everyone? Impulse furrowed his brow. Yep, you, Grian, V-Dubs, Isaac, Caitlin, and Haley. Julius beamed, seeing the expression of horror dawn on the hermit's face. When did they? Impulse trailed off. Not long after you did, Julius replied. The others? Impulse pressed. Rescued. Julius shook his head. Someone intercepted our team, and we lost contact. Impulse let out a sigh of relief. So Scar was... He stopped himself as his face peeled. Julius chuckled. Yes, I suppose. So you called Scar. No, Julius said quickly. Too quickly. You did, Julius snickered. You told him you were in trouble, so he had Doc open a portal for him and came to your friend's aid. Julius paused. Were you able to send your location? No, Green Impulse repeated, this time more firmly. I wasn't. That's not the right word. There we go. I wasn't able to when you kicked him out of my head. Since you kicked me out of my head. Since you kicked him out of my head. There we go. Julius burst out laughing. That explains it then. Impulse lowered his gaze at the soup, putting it to his lips. He sipped quietly without a word. Julius didn't need him to. Just too happy about the prospect that he caught the hermit slip. No doubt the man in the controller end of the headband was aware of this too. Scar was vulnerable now. She was indeed here in Lovely World. This was good news, right? After a few minutes, Impulse offered the empty bowl to the boy. Julius took it, putting it on the tray. So what's next? Who's next on your list? Julius looked down at the remaining bowl of soup. V-Dubs. Impulse nodded. Do you know if... I haven't seen him since he came with you. We came with you, Julius nodded. For all I know, Campbell went to talk to him, with him. Impulse shuddered. What's he want with him? Julius shrugged. Campbell doesn't tell me everything. Right. The hermit smiled quickly. Nor did he tell you the truth about what happened either. Impulse groaned as the headband came to life, reaching for the band. Julius smiled. You're a terrible liar. Why would I believe you? Our friends helped you, Impulse replied. Stanby had Fizzy take you to your injuries. He felt like it'd be wrong to just let you suffer. Just like Gerald. Julius jeered. We're not monsters. Pulse groaned again, his expression hard in concentration. We don't leave our enemies to die. You know just how well that kindness treated you. The boy scoffed. You should have known as soon as Campbell knew about Rose's offer. He'd use it against you. Zambia's too naive, trusting. As are you. No. We're just playing with a different set of cards than you. Impulse pointed out. Following a different set of rules. Yet we're both going for the same prize. Julius shook his head, marching to the door of the cell. All you want is for things to go back to normal. Think it's Impulse? No more normal. The world you knew is gone. The people you know are gone. Not the same as they were. You know you can't take that back. Never said I did, Impulse replied. His kids would have kept fighting, even if he had nothing left. And where is he now? Julius sneered, narrowing his eyes as he stepped out into the hall. He's dead. Gone. You're never going to see him again. Impulse shook his head. No one has ever truly gone. Maybe for you, but not for me. Julius slammed the door. My father isn't here. He's dead because of your friends. If I ever see Tango again, I'll make sure I finish him this time. I don't think you really mean that, Impulse said weakly, watching the boy intently. I meant it with his. Julius snarled, walking away from the cell. Final bowl of soup. And end. Chapter 17. This will be the last chapter, and then, then we'll go to the next part and all that stuff, And just well, that's the 3 things there. That's fine. Julius arrived at the cell near the laboratory, seeing a guard out front in the hall. The man was tall and muscular, his black eyes watching as the boy approached down the hall. Is Beat-Ups awake? Julius offered in the hopes of starting a conversation. A headband secured to his forehead. It glowed brightly green, not a hint of a flicker. He hasn't woken yet, the man grunted, currently dreaming about some sort of party. Huh, okay. Julius frowned, unsure if he needed to know that. The man unlocked the door for him and pushed the iron door open, revealing a small cell within. A young man stepped into the room, hearing the mumbling on the other side of the room, slumped against the back wall with the disheveled form of Beat-Ups, sound asleep. Julius crossed the room, falling to his knees, putting the tray down. Hey, Beat-Ups. Julius whispered to the hermit softly, gently shaking him by the shoulder. Beat-Ups groaned before opening his eyes. What's going on? Where am I? Beat-Ups muttered aloud. Oh, look at that. Rise and shine. It's dinner time. Julius replied, offering the bowl of soup. It's getting cold. Julius? Beat-Ups looked confused, staring at the boy before pieces began to fall into place. Oh, no. No. Beat-Ups tried to stand before falling back down. The headband sprung to life as he yelped in pain. Here to hurt you, Julius promised, offering the bowl again. Saturation. It is? Beat-Ups asked warily, glancing down at the contents before taking the bowl from his hands. Sorry, it's just everything seems so fussy, and I've got a headache to boot. Julius frowned as the hermit brought the bowl to his lips, sipping. What do you remember? Isaac came to get me, but the girls wanted to show him the new TNT cannon we built together. We got distracted, and next thing I knew, we were ambushed. What were you building a cannon for? Julius smirked as the hermit finished his soup, handing back the empty bowl. Kate heard my story about the attack at the school. She wanted to see how we built the cannon in case we needed to use it again. Bad timing, then, Julius chuckled, pocketing the tray and empty bowls. Beat-Ups nodded, his head speaking slowly, as lost thought. Yeah. Well, it's getting late. I should get some sleep. Julius stood, beginning to head toward the door. Wait! Beat-Ups said quickly. The boy hesitated. You know where we are? No, Julius lied. If you think I'll change my mind about the offer, forget it. But you came looking for me, the hermit frowned. It was a trap, Julius snapped. You should have thought about what Campbell might do if he found out about this offer. You led your friends, right? Your friends here. It's your fault. Beat-Ups failed. No, that can't be. It's the truth. And if you're not careful, things might happen. Julius sneered. You better hope Green spills, otherwise you're next. Green? Beat-ups gasped in horror. His eyes widened. Julius marched to the door. Yeah, we have Grian, and we're going to make him tell us everything. Julius put a hand on the iron door. No matter what it takes. Beat-up's face paled as he nodded. He won't tell you anything. Maybe he will. With the right bait. Julius smirked, pulling the door shut. Sweet dreams, Bubbles. You too, Beat-up said weakly, shaking his head as the guard by the cell snorted. That was a show, the man mused. His mind raced on what Korean might know, too fast for me to read. That's unfortunate. At least we know Scar isn't at Doc Space anymore, Juliet replied as Paul crept onto the man's face. Who'd you get that from? The man asked. Impulse, Juliet replied, hearing the gulp in the stall. The guard laughed. You'll have to tell me later. You look beat. Get some rest. I'll let Campbell know. Thank you, sir. But it's possible he already knows, Julius nodded. I'll make sure he does then, and see if I can get Beat-ups to talk, especially if I threaten someone. Please don't. Beat-ups whispered through the door. I do have unfinished business, Dango, Julius reminded the hermit, peeking into his cell. Oh boy, he did not like that. The guard burst into giggles. I'm going to have some fun tonight. Thanks, kid. Don't overdo it, Julius warned. I won't. You can count on that, the guard cackled. Julius seeing Beat-up squirm uneasily before turning his back away from the cell. Even as he did so, the uneasiness set in again. The guard was so willing to torment Beat-ups and threaten him without a second glance. Sure, he was the enemy, but he still was his friend. Wouldn't Julius feel the same way if he'd been taunted by threat of one of his friends being targeted? What if it was his father? Mother? Julius brushed the question aside. He was overthinking this. He was doing the right thing. They all were. He was fighting for freedom. For all worlds. For anyone who was overlooked and forgotten. For those whose father never had time for. It was good, right? He didn't really know anymore. That's going to be the end for this part. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Whatever that might be.